Happy Tuesday, dear ones. How are you doing today? Loving yourselves unconditionally, I hope. And remember, folks, if you are having a situation where your current environment is unbearable, be the change you want to see in the world, in your world. Change only comes from within. So let's look at these things that we're dealing with. Let's feel them, deal with them, and let them go. Let's release them, because you can choose to make different agreements in your life. So we are currently working on the Heart Chakra, which is located in the cardiac plexus, okay, in the chest over here, this area over here. And very often when we are finding that we're uncomfortable with a certain situation, it feels like somebody's actually standing on our chest. And our heart actually represents how our blood is pumped throughout our body. And a lot of things are actually linked in with that, but we'll get into that. So let's look at the traumas and abuses that we may very well have suffered in our early 20s or in our 20s from the age of 21 to 28, and see if this is the cause of some of the issues that you may be suffering now. So the traumas and abuses that you could have suffered during that time include rejection, abandonment, and loss. Loss of a loved one, loss of a relationship, and loss encompasses a lot of the different things. It could also even be huge material things as well. Shaming and constant criticism. Abuses to any of the other chakras, especially the lower ones, as I mentioned yesterday. So when you are not feeling confident, have you ever had that situation where you have a feeling in the pit of your stomach and it messes with your confidence? Now that is your solar plexus chakra shouting at you and saying that something needs to change or something is annoying you in that particular chakra. So when you have a confidence issue, and when your teenage years were unfortunately as they were, it is going to have that knock-on effect to your heart chakra, and it is going to make a difference in how you love and how you feel you are loved. So it's all of the outside, inside going out and outside going in. And once again, we have that circular motion. Other traumas and abuses include unacknowledged grief, including parents' grief. So maybe it's something that you didn't actually grieve, but you took it on because of your parents' grief. Divorce, your own divorce, the divorce of your parents, or the death of a loved one. Being in a loveless and cold environment. Conditional love. You will be loved when. You will be loved if. And also the way that I will love you if. I will love myself if or when I'm good enough. Who's judging that? Who's telling you whether you're good enough? It's your issue. You're always good enough, as long as you do your best. Sexual or physical abuse during this age as well will make a big difference in the way that your outlook and your perspective on your right to love and be loved, and of course betrayal. So very often when we are in our 20s and we're having those first relationships, when we feel betrayed, it will probably stay with us for life if we do not feel it, deal with it, and let it go, because it doesn't serve you anymore. So characteristics of a deficient, an energy deficient chakra, an energy deficient heart chakra are being antisocial, withdrawn and cold, critical, judgmental and intolerant of the self and of others, loneliness and isolation, depression, fear of intimacy, fear of relationships, lack of empathy, narcissism. When there is an excess of energy in that chakra, the characteristics include codependency, poor boundaries, demanding, being clingy, jealous, and overly sacrificing. And this translates into the following physical malfunctions: disorders of the heart, lungs, and the thymus gland, breasts, arms, okay, all of that area. The arms include that area because it is how we experience our life. And all of our experiences, how we embrace life, how we embrace ourselves, how we embrace others. Elevated cholesterol. That's a heart chakra issue because it's all about the heart. And the heart is the pump that pumps the life force around your body. So when you're squeezing the life out of life, yes, the love and the life out of life, when you're squeezing it, that is where your body turns around and says, you want some cholesterol. High or low blood pressure, it's associated with a pump again. Shortness of breath. We also have characteristics which include a sunken chest and circulation problems, asthma, feeling like you can't breathe, an immune system deficiency. Even allergies are included in this, skin problems, and tension between the shoulder blades and pain in the chest. Healing practices for this include breathing exercises. I have mentioned before the 4-7-8 method, which helps for anxiety. Use that one. Or if you are doing yoga breathing also helps. There are a lot of various different breathing techniques. Find one that works for you, that you can use at a moment's notice when you feel under pressure or when you feel an attack coming on. Work with your arms, reaching out, taking in, reaching out, taking in, embracing the experiences of your life with love, because everything that happens to us is either a reflection of us. It could be karmically induced. Remember, fate is what life throws at us. Destiny is how we choose to interact with it. Psychotherapy is also very important, examining the assumptions that we have already in and about relationships. It helps with emotional release of grief. It helps with forgiveness. It also helps you with your specific inner child work, codependency work, self-acceptance work, honoring our own individuality, and anima and anima's integration, so the male and female, and how to understand the duality that is within us. Journaling is very important healing practice, and this is exactly why I give you those journaling questions. Do that hard work. Don't dismiss it. Those questions are so important to making the changes in your life that you need to take to understand yourself. When you understand yourself, it's so much easier to love yourself and respect yourself, because you understand where you're at and where your thought process is and where your beliefs sit in with regards to this. This is all physical and spiritual connection and connectivity. Whether you believe in it or not, even doing the journaling questions will assist you to understand where you're at in your life and what you need to change. And it's important to make those changes, because if you don't make those changes now, it gets a little bit more difficult as we age to make, what do they say? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. But remember, how do you change? You're willing to change, having the willingness to make those changes within yourself. And that is all about self-love. So journaling and self-discovery is also a healing practice, as are hikes in nature, spending time with family and friends. Now, bear in mind that you don't want to be spending the time with the family and friends that you have issues with, because that might bring out more issues for you. So make sure that the time that you do spend with them is time of healing. Use aromatherapy oils from the list I mentioned yesterday in your burners or your baths, or even in your diffusers. Doing charity work, it's giving from the heart, not expecting anything in return. Eating, wearing, or bathing in the color green. Watching or reading romantic movies or novels, sometimes the Mills and Boons, that you can just sort of, it's a quick few hours read, and you can just go into a fantasy world somewhere and believe that there is this perfect love affair where everybody rides off into the sunset and lives happily ever after. That's actually when the story really starts. And then wearing appropriate gemstones and candlelit dinners, even if you're on your own. Light yourself a candle, make it romantic. Do something for yourself every day that shows you how much you love yourself. And of course, the foundation that we always need to remember, the 4 agreements and the 5 Reiki principles. Folks, I'll be chatting to you tomorrow again about the journaling questions on the heart chakra. And we are doing good work on ourselves. And remember, when we change, when we make the changes, and we are the change that we want to see in the world, everything around us will meet with us where we're at. Love and light to you all.